Hey Denchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and welcome to my review of the newest compilation album by Kendrick Lamar. This one's called Untitled, Unmastered. Now, 3 reasons why I didn't get to this review a little sooner, because if you didn't know, this album actually came out a couple weeks ago, and I had been wanting to review it basically immediately, but basically what happened is, for one, I didn't get time to review it. For 2, I didn't actually really want to listen through it until I had the time to get the CD copy, which came out quite a few days after the release. Just a couple days ago it came out on CD, so I went and ordered it and listened to it on my computer today from the CD. Also, I really wasn't sure if I wanted to review it because, like I said in my Macklemore review, I typically don't really do rap reviews anymore because I kind of hate giving my opinions about it. Because everyone just kind of assumes that I don't know anything about rap music, which for the most part is true. I do have my opinions on it, and I do love Kendrick Lamar. For the most part, rap is actually a pretty good genre, and I would like to get into it more, so I've been diving a little bit more into lyricism lately. And then finally, I kind of wanted to wait until everyone else had reviewed it because I don't want a bunch of Kendrick Lamar fans coming and picking on me like they did last time with my To Pimp a Butterfly album review. Enough time has passed by that everyone's basically seen the reviews they want to watch. Now my basic subscriber base, you guys, can actually see my opinion without having to deal with a bunch of new viewers coming in, and this should probably only get about as many views as my other typical EDM reviews or things like that. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the concept of this thing. So basically what happened is, during the process of the recording for To Pimp a Butterfly, a bunch of tracks didn't make the album, and in some parts of this one, it seems like it would have been better off to have those. I do understand why Kendrick wanted to keep some of them off the album, but some of them fit very well into the concept of To Pimp a Butterfly, like Untitled 06 featuring CeeLo Green. I think would have fit really well into the To Pimp a Butterfly record. But instead, he decided to keep a good chunk off, and To Pimp a Butterfly ended up being a fantastic album. So for some reason, some of these were kept off, but I think in large part it was smart for him to release this compilation album instead of having something kind of thrown together like the deluxe version of Good Kid, Mad City. This basically would have been what he would have thrown on the deluxe version, where you would have seen B-sides from To Pimp a Butterfly. The best way to put it is that album should be left alone the way it is. It hasn't released a bonus track version or anything of that matter. From what I know, it's just a straight conceptual album and only available in that one format on CD and vinyl. And for the most part, you can think of this album to be a B-sides record for the To Pimp a Butterfly album. And a lot of this is really cool to hear because I'm not sure if it is unmastered. Most of these tracks probably are mastered. Basically, these are just demos from the To Pimp a Butterfly studio recordings. And to my knowledge, he played a bunch of these tracks live and previewed them to fans and things like that, but never actually got around to releasing them on the album. And a lot of people make appearances on this that were on the To Pimp a Butterfly album, like Bylul, Thundercat, and Anna Wise. A great thing about this compilation record is that it just seems so cohesive, even though it's just scattered tracks from the To Pimp a Butterfly era, which was really friggin' awesome. There's some really great appearances here. Honestly, the only track I'm really not feeling is the first track, Untitled 01. I think obviously these tracks do have their order of placement because these aren't placed in a way where it goes from the earliest track on or the latest track on. They're kind of mixed in terms of actually trying to make a good sounding record. The dates are a little bit scattered if you don't know the dates of the maybe recording or finalization of the tracks or whatever are written on these. They were probably the date that they were recorded. You don't know a lot of artists who are willing to just kind of throw out their demos to the public, but Kendrick Lamar did it, and as a YouTube commenter I saw said, Kendrick Lamar's leftovers from To Pimp a Butterfly are better than a lot of people's main course, and I think that's a really great way to describe this. Even though this isn't as entirely conceptual as To Pimp a Butterfly, this thing has some bangers on it, it's got some really deep stuff, and the instrumentation is just as good, if not almost as good as To Pimp a Butterfly for the most part. Kind of featuring a little bit more rap styles, a little bit closer to Good Kid Mad City in some spots, such as on Untitled 02 and the first part of Untitled 07, which was recorded over a 3-year span. But for the most part, a lot of these sounds are blending extremely well into Pimp a Butterfly, and is extremely refreshing considering how good of an album that was. And by fans who want to hear more of that stuff, this is the album for you. It's great. I don't want to go too deeply into the production on this. Like I said, the instrumentation is great. I'm not going to delve too deeply into the lyrics. I'll just talk about the things I really dig about this. Like I said, wasn't really crazy about 01. A lot of critics really aren't feeling 04, Untitled. I'm guessing the reason behind this is because Kendrick doesn't really have much of a feature in this track, and it probably isn't doing a lot for people. I think it serves as an excellent prelude to 07, which features some of the same lyrical content. And basically what 04 sounds like is a kind of collection of samples that were probably recorded on the date that it shows. It's really cool. I think that this appearance comes a little bit before its second appearance on 07, but I actually did like the 07 version better. You can clearly tell that there were some thematic elements that didn't make it onto the To Pimp a Butterfly album, such as on 3 different tracks, Kendrick says, "Pimp, pimp," and those were obviously supposed to make the To Pimp a Butterfly record and kind of being an underlying theme, but didn't end up finally featuring, and that's something that really ties this B-sides record up very well. Kendrick's different levels of vocals are really cool on this one as well. The different voices that he uses, kind of the same as toward where To Pimp a Butterfly went. Not quite as diverse, but almost there. As usual, I already mentioned the instrumentation, but I just absolutely love this kind of jazz rap that Kendrick Lamar has been getting into in the last couple years. And it's, like I said, no exception. The instrumentation is just almost as good as To Pimp a Butterfly, this one not dragging too much behind, which makes that record all the much better. I think on Untitled 05, Kendrick's appearance actually goes a little bit closer to maybe some classic Eminem, especially with the kind of dark and murdery style featured on the lyricism with this one. It was very different for Kendrick, I think, and especially because he's been so passionate about peace on the To Pimp a Butterfly record. This one was very, very different for him. As well as the instrumental kind of reminded me a little bit of Eminem's style too as well. Obviously they're two completely different rappers, but I'm just drawing the comparison there. Untitled 07, the first half is an absolute banger, like I said, drawing a lot of comparisons to kind of a similar style as Untitled 02. And then the second half of the track is one of my favorite parts of the album, where Kendrick is just kind of experimenting with lyrics and parts in front of some friends during the recording of the album, kind of recorded on a lower quality mic, where we hear Kendrick experimenting with his own vocals, kind of talking about how his background vocalists are going to come in at certain spots. And we actually get to hear him sing, which I think was really cool and kind of shows his artistry off even better. And this is all played along while someone in the background's kind of playing guitar with it, and I think that was honestly one of the cooler spots on the record. Untitled 08, on the other hand, kind of closes the album off in a way where it's kind of a bouncy, bright style, kind of similar to I by Kendrick Lamar. I think this one would have had a lot of potential with the album. It probably was cut out because the production style and the bright sounds of it are very similar to that of I. Because there weren't any styles really similar to this on the B-Sides EP, it ended up being one of my favorites. So this album isn't absolutely perfect, of course. I think for being an album of primarily demos and things that didn't make his last album, this is pretty fantastic, and I was really friggin' digging it basically the whole way through. There was, like I said, not much that I disliked other than 01. This album is only 8 tracks, and since I really didn't like one of them, and I do have my couple small picks with the production, I'm going to give this one an 8.5. Still a really solid friggin' record. And 8.5 is a very high praise because I'm not even sure if I've given one this year. Definitely salute Kendrick Lamar for being able to craft yet another awesome record. This one just being scraps left over from To Pimp a Butterfly is extremely impressive. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Kind of a little different thing. I'm going to link it in the description to the Spotify link, so make sure to check it out if you haven't yet. Anyway, I'm going to get off to review some other stuff that you guys have been requesting. I'll see you guys later. Peace.